Good morning, students. Let's continue with the chapter The Indian Constitution. Students, in the previous video, we discussed about the first key feature of the Indian Constitution, that is federalism. For the well-being of the society, to govern the country well, the government works at three levels: central, state, and local. Let's discuss the second key feature of the Indian Constitution, parliamentary form of government. What is parliamentary form of government? It is a form of government based on parliament. Refers to a country's legislative law-making body. Means we choose leaders, we choose representatives through elections, through voting. These representatives make laws in the parliament. They run the country. They discuss, they debates on issues. As we vote for them, they represent us. Who elect these representatives? The Constitution of India guarantees universal adult suffrage. Students, in the last year, we have already learned about universal adult franchising. It means what? This means that the right to vote is given to all adult citizens of a country without any discrimination on the basis of region, religion, caste, sex, property, language, and educational qualification. All should consider equal. All Indian citizens who have attained the age of 18 are given the right to vote. So students, you must have understood what is meant by universal adult suffrage. The voting right is given to the Indian citizens who have attained the age of 18. At the same time, these representatives can contest in elections. Means same person can vote and contest in elections also. Under the parliamentary form of government, people elect their representatives, and these representatives are accountable to the people. Accountable to the people means as we choose the leaders, but sometimes these leaders are not working properly, then these people are accountable. Means these people are responsible for the happenings. They should give the answer. Next key feature of the Indian Constitution is separation of powers. Sharing, dividing powers. The government is made of three branches. There are three organs of the government. These are legislature, executive, and judiciary. The legislature makes the laws. Means the elected representatives by the people like MLA, MPs. These people makes the laws. Once laws have been made and passed, the second organ of the government, that is executive, it makes sure that these laws are followed by the people or not. For example, helmet is compulsory while driving. If this law is made by the legislature, then the executive branch, the police, can ask the people to pay the fine. A law might say that cheating is a crime. Then it is the duty of the executive to ensure that citizens follow this law. If people fail to follow the law, They can be arrested by the executive, like policemen. The other people, like Prime Minister, Chief Minister, IPS officer, IS officers, all these people implement laws in the country. Next, the third organ of the government is judiciary, a system of court in the country. People may also feel that the law is not a fair one. Whichever the laws are made by elected representatives are not good for the citizens. The executive is not fair in doing its job. In such a case, people can go to the judiciary to seek justice, like they can go to the Supreme Court or High Court. But why the power is being separated among these people? Let's take an example of the classroom situation. When the teacher appoints a boy as a monitor of the class, that boy may be misuse of his power. Sometimes the girl complains that that boy writes only girl name. Therefore, the teacher appoints both the boy and the girl separately to monitor the class. The girl's monitor is girl and the boy's monitor is boys. So there is also the division of the power. The division of the power is equal among the students. Like this, in order to prevent the misuse of power by any one organ of the government, Constitution says that each of these organs should exercise different power. The next key feature of the Indian Constitution is fundamental rights. In the Indian Constitution, the 6 fundamental rights are mentioned: right to equality, right to freedom, right against exploitation, right to freedom of religion, cultural and educational rights, right to constitutional remedies. These rights cannot be taken away by anyone. What is given in right to equality? Every Indian is equal in matters of rights, opportunities, and protection under the law. Any kind of discrimination on grounds of religion, caste, wealth, sex, language, etc. is prohibited. Second is right to freedom. The Indian citizens have freedom of speech and expression. They have freedom to assemble peacefully without arms. They have freedom to form associations and unions. We can move freely throughout the country. We can settle or reside anywhere or any part of the country. We can choose our profession according to our choice. We can do trade or business of our choice. However, there are certain conditions attached to these freedoms. For example, freedom of speech and expression doesn't mean that we can say or write things publicly that are harmful to others or a threat to the integrity of the nation. The third fundamental right is right against exploitation. To exploit means what? It means to take advantage of. This right gives protection to women, children, and the weaker sections of society from being exploited by others. For example, it is illegal to employ children under 14 in any job and to make people work without wages to repay loans. The next fundamental right is right to freedom of religion. Every citizen has the right to choose religion of his or her own choice. We will discuss this in greater detail in the next chapter, secularism. The next fundamental right is cultural and educational rights. Every cultural group can preserve and promote its traditions like language, literature, folk art, etc. Minority groups have the right to set up educational institutions. The last fundamental right is right to constitutional remedies. This allows citizens to move the court if they believe that any of their fundamental rights have been violated by the state. Every citizen has the right to appeal to a court if he or she is deprived of his or her fundamental rights by anyone. Our Constitution has laid down some guidelines for the government to govern in a better way. These guidelines are called the Directive Principles of State Policy. Our government must try to follow these guidelines while making laws and policies and putting a law into practice. Directive Principles of State Policy. These are only the guidelines for the government. Citizens cannot go to a court if the directive principles are not followed by the government. For example, laws have been passed on the right to primary education, on the protection of the environment, and on the protection of monuments. Once a directive principle becomes a law, it can be enforced by a court of law. Next key feature of the Indian Constitution is secularism. Secularism is an important key feature of the Indian Constitution. A secular state means what? The state neither favors any particular religion nor discriminates against any religion. A secular state is a state which doesn't officially promote any one religion as the state religion. All religions are given equal importance. All are treated equally. No religion is given extra benefits, nor any religion is ignored on any matter. We will learn more about secularism in the next chapter. So in this chapter, we have learned the basic ideas of the Indian Constitution. Why does a country need a constitution? And the key features of the Indian Constitution. Hope you have understood the lesson. Read the lesson again 2 to 3 times and try to find out the question and answer.